Hello and welcome. You're listening to Let's Drone Out. Tonight we are joined by our usual suspects, Andrew / Frank.
Hello.
The man with the moustache, Stephen's back.
Good evening.
Our guest for tonight is Antony.
Good evening, everyone.
And I'm your host, Bright Till I Fly.
Yep, we are recording on the 4th of July. So if you hear some noises from outside of my window, that is a polling station. That would be the
or America, because they're pretty loud, and we might. They're still celebrating something. I don't know. Not very good grace, I think, personally.
Yeah, I haven't noticed many fireworks around here. No, not yet. Not yet. Give it another 7 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
Have you
in
been
London,
flying,
it's
Stephen?
kind of crazy. We're so kind of multicultural. There's always someone letting off fireworks for some reason or another, and they just can't keep them all straight. Like I don't know what the occasion is, but 3/4 of the time it's just hey, fireworks. Some country somewhere has a special day. It's kind of nice. But yeah, I actually went flying. Took my little whoop out to the park. Been mainly trying to run around and get in shape, but spent some time out flying as well, and did the usual dance of updating this, updating that. Tried to go and publish the video and overlay my footage, and found out that some crazy reason the footage, the OSD that I wanted to just put my OSD on the HD video from Walksnail, and I overlaid it, and I'm like, okay, that looks all right. Wait a minute. I noticed that the flight timer goes 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and it's only getting an update every 4 seconds. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I couldn't figure out what was going on. Talked to the guys in the forum about it, and I noticed after 2 minutes it's okay, but yeah, I sent them the OSD file, and they're like, yeah, it's not the tool, that's just Walksnail. It's now being shit. So probably had to do about 100 updates for all of the various whoops and quads that I've built with Walksnail, because I don't think I've updated them since December, so it's going to take a while. But yeah, got out, had a bit of fun. But I hear you've been busy, Frank, as well, over in air shows and things.
Yeah, well, before we get on to that, Jack, have you flown anything since last week?
Yeah, I flew the tricopter.
Ooh.
I've got like the I can only thank Chris G. Like, what a legend. Not only did he like come down, he like gave me a flight controller, and he just tuned it, got it all going. Like, wow. We took the old flight controller off, put the new flight controller on, and just kind of coaxed me back through the process. But there you go.
That's pretty impressive. You can probably count the number of people you can tune a tricopter on. Well, I won't say it because the censors will have to cut it, but there's not many of them.
I know. It was difficult anyway, because like you're kind of, for me, it's dragging me back to just before the golden age of quads. And when you're going back, you're in RC group forums because they're the only things that are still up. There's like some forums you go to and they're no longer maintained, and they're just like snapshots. You're going to the Wayback Machine.
So did you end up flying like recent beta flight, or are you running like beta flight 2 point something?
Recent beta flight with an F4 board.
That's awesome. With an F4.
Yeah,
you said.
Cool. Yeah, it's a Kakute
cutting edge
F1, and there's a load of pads that are broken on it, but it was a free board. I'm grateful. Massive shout out. Like,
well done, Chris.
I realized that, like, at one point I wanted to throw my laptop into a bush. And he was like,
that's the gentle version. At least you didn't like just throw it on the pavement.
Yeah.
The bush is quite gentle. That's like probably a 6 out of 10 on the anger scale.
yeah, and he was like, just restart the laptop. And I was like, that ain't going to do anything. Restart it just to be like, nah, and be like, you're wrong, and restarted it, and then start working again. And I'm like, oh my God, like that guy needs to work with like the heavily autistic. He's got away with him. Like the destructive fly off the handle mentality that I now have, where I literally just want to shit into a spinning propeller. That is my experience of the hobby lately. Yeah, and he just he was there. He was
Talked you
calm.
down.
He was a voice of reason, and I can't thank him enough. And
So between your tricopter, Chris G's own weird tricopter that he's built with like multiple moving parts, and
More than
Curry's
one
got his
servo.
tricopter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Curry's
I think I've been
got
sick in my mouth.
a tricopter that Curry's built. I'm gonna have to get my baby tri up and running again, and we're gonna have like a little flyby, a little formation.
This is
of
interesting.
tricopters.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing people like starting to use Betaflight for acrobatic stuff that isn't quads, and seeing a tricopter go in there. We've had a Limon flying his like acro wing using Betaflight for a while now. It's kind of weird to see it loop back around and stop being just about quads. It's interesting.
Very interesting.
Massive shout out to Dominic Clifton, by the way. I plugged.
Dom says maybe he should build his tricopter. Is 2024 the year to build your first tricopter?
This is an F1 board. I plugged it in to clean fly, and it communicated with it. And I moved it from PWM to PPM. And like, you can't do that with
you're holding up? What the hell were you waving around there?
Yeah, that's a flight controller.
What
PCB in the shape of a tricopter.
Sweet.
F1, baby. Nice.
Wow.
And that is a look into the deep and distant past. That is.
PCB.
I have never seen something like this.
How big can we make it?
I know, like 3D printing your own like tricopter mounts and stuff. But oh my word!
That looks like a lot of effort. Well done, mate. Well done.
The thing, hang on, I'll just get it.
We've started jack off on one.
All right, stand down, everyone. We may be here a while.
The wiring looks like Helen Keller did it.
Well, you said you built it yourself. I mean, we were expecting.
I mean, it was thrown together in seconds.
We did expect you to use wires and not your own pubes, but never mind.
Yeah, the camera is literally held on by.
Well, it looks like it's pretty strongly held on there. Wait,
yeah.
What's that next to the camera that looks like a chopstick covered in tape?
That's an antenna. That's like an RC car antenna.
Yeah.
You just drilled a hole in the top plate and just stuffed it in.
Is that an all-in-one like VTX with its own camera with the antenna stuck on the side?
No, that's the VTX. You'll need to come see it in person. But
it looks like a long-range tricopter, and I can think of nothing more terrifying.
It is, because for some reason it comes up in the OSD RX loss, but I still have controls, and it didn't happen for me.
Oh my god!
And I don't know why.
So this is very much a view into the deep and distant past of the terrifying things that people used to build and use to chase around other things to get nice swooshy shots, cinematic shots from a drone.
Yeah,
10 years ago.
At the
other end of the spectrum,
smile on your face.
Yeah. At the other end of this spectrum, looking into the future of cinematic swoopy shots, we have with us Antek this evening. I've met Antek at an air show in Poland that I was working at a couple of weeks ago called Leszno Air Show, or Antidotum Leszno, rather. I was there working with Plains TV, so I do these sort of occasional broadcasts from air shows with Plains TV. They've been going since like the 80s, doing videos and DVDs and various kind of coverage of air shows using sort of broadcast level equipment. And I go and help them sometimes with vision mixing and setting up and breaking down their broadcast gear. And this is the first time they've gone out to Antidotum Leszno, and it was amazing. So Leszno as an air show has sort of bits of everything. There was like an F-16 coming over at like 0 feet, full afterburner, just like boom, makes everything move about 3 inches up in the air as it goes past. There's so a load of Red Bull stuff. So they've got like a Cobra military helicopter. They've got A-26 Invader, which is a very, very shiny Second World War kind of equivalent of the A-10 Warthog, kind of ground attack aircraft, twin engine thing. Lots of shiny things. And it starts at like midday on a Saturday. There's loads of music and it's kind of a festival vibe to it. And it carries on through to the middle of the night and has fireworks and things going off. It is a very exciting event. And as part of the broadcasting, we not only had our usual ground cameras that I was there vision mixing, we also had 2 drone feeds. So we had sort of a Mavic shot that I could mix in that did some nice cinematic kind of interleaving things. That was quite nice. And then we had Antek flying FPV around the act of in the middle of an air show, like genuinely chasing round stuff, doing loops, rolls, and smoke and pyro, and in the middle of the night, middle of the day, doing lots of beautiful things, and it was very exciting. So I thought I should drag on Antek on tonight to talk about it because it was something to see for sure. I mean, I don't know. Is there anything for you, Antek? What were your favourite things to fly around there at Leszno?
I think because of my drones wasn't as fast as I thought I am actually. I had some troubles with catching, faster planes. So I have to think about some drone movements, not really going behind the plane, maybe some shots from above, from different directions. But I really enjoy flying with planes that have similar speed similar speed to my drone, right? And that's why I really enjoyed Blanix and gliders, or I think jet pits with Richard. Richard was I think best plane I was flying with. Because it's not that fast, actually, even though it's a jet plane, right?
Yeah, so Rich Goodwin's jet pits is a pit special, so a very aerobatic biplane. He's previously built the muscle pits, which is just a very, very powerful pit special. The jet pits is where he's got, your 2 stubby biplane wings. You've got your massive propeller up the front, letting you do crazy aerobatics, and then he's strapped to the side of his fuselage, one on each side, a jet engine.
Right.
And
it's super loud.
It's a propeller and a jet engine.
It's got a big propeller and 2 jet engines. And
okay.
And so what this means is, because basically I think he sort of maxed out how much power he could put through the propeller without just torque rolling the entire aircraft constantly. So it's like, how do I add more power without adding more torque? I know, jet engines.
And I guess the propeller gives you more fine-grained throttle control, because jet engines, you can't reignite them that easily, whereas if you want to really ease off the thrust, you could have the majority of the propeller and just a wee bit on the jets, I suppose.
I think it's also fuel as well. I think the jet engines are not very fuel efficient. I think you'd have a very short display if you ran it only on the jet engines. But either way, so this is a pit special that can just prop hang and then climb upwards. It has greater than 1-to-1 thrust to weight ratio, and so it does its party piece of prop hanging in the middle of the field basically, and then there's Antek there flying around, orbiting the pit special.
Do we have footage that we can drop in here to show folks?
I think
picture?
probably not. If you go to YouTube and go to Planes TV, there's almost certainly going to be a section of it, but we won't have permission to show it on here, I'm sure. If you go there, you'll be able to look it up. I think fair use is limited to like 4 seconds.
20 seconds.
Well, either way, they pay me money. I don't want to upset.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's the sort of thing. Like, you've got actual manned aircraft doing crazy things, and Antek is there with the permission of everyone, and all above board.
Jet-powered pits with live drone filming.
Yeah, so there you go.
I think is what you're looking for.
And it is very impressive. It's very cool. The Blanix gliders that Antek mentioned. So these are, again, I think they're another Red Bull team. And so they're paragliders, white, very sleek, very long wings. But they've got a load of coloured smoke on them. And they're flying in formation. Often one is upside down, or they sort of fly in weird formations. And they're trailing loads of coloured smoke. And Antek's following along there within the coloured smoke. So I'll try and show you some of that. So, I mean, again, this is an air show that starts around midday and carries on through to about midnight. So this was at sunset. So you got this lovely glowing smoke of all different colours with the sunset behind it. And this is sort of at the end of the reel. But there you go. Antek is flying around, following them through their loops, orbiting them as they do a stalled turn, and chasing them as they're flying in formation, trailing a load of very pretty coloured smoke. And then using the DJI-03, this is being broadcast. Well, this is being sent back to me in a shipping container with a load of screens surrounding me. And I'm hitting the button saying, yes, put that on everyone's screen. Send that to everyone. It's quite an experience. There was also on the airshow site itself, they had some big screens there. And a lot of the drone shots were being shown on those screens through the same sort of system. So it was a very, very fun time. And a lot of these displays, we were just saying before the show started, Antek, that you hadn't really. I mean, there's some rehearsals on the Thursday where you get a chance to practice live, as it were, like actually chasing around these. But other than that, like, this is basically you, an Aerosparks, and the pilots of these displays just sort of having a conversation beforehand, right? About sort of how, whether they're happy with you flying there, where they want you to be, anything you need to be aware of.
I think the most important is just a conversation before, since I have some experience flying with airplanes, with paramotors, gliders, and the most important is just to me to know what they gonna do next, where they want to be, what are the attitudes, speeds, and the most important rule for me is this, that I need to avoid them, not them to avoid me. So because I'm too small and I'm pretty, they won't see me anyways. So the most important thing is to avoid them. I mean planes and things like this. And that's why we can keep it safe all the time.
Absolutely. And it's because it's not just you on your own, is it? Like you're there with a team as well. So you've got you've got Alex there from the Aerosparks team, who if anyone has been to Western Park, you'll sort of a few years or more ago, Aerosparks used to do a lot of the night displays there. So again, they're sort of formation glider displays with a load of LEDs on the side and pyrotechnics. They do a lot more of their work outside of the UK now, but they have this Aerosparks drones team, which is basically Alex, and Alex was helping out sort of coordinate things as well, and providing the Mavic shots that we had. But in terms of sort of the you had a spotter, right? So you had someone spotting you.
Yeah.
And also radio contact with the display pilots yeah. So I guess that means that at any point they could just be like, "I'm stopping this," and you'd know to get out of the way. Is that right?
I mean, I can't hear you well right now. Maybe it's because of maybe it's because of your presentation with the movie right now. Okay.
Let's try.
Now it's much better. Sorry.
There we go. That's limited bandwidth.
I think I heard right your question about spotter and communication and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, just sort of wondering, sort of what sort of communication you have with them, sort of with the radio. I'm guessing that is so that they can tell you like we're stopping the display because something's going on, and then you can get out their way and keep everything clear, right?
I was on the radio in the frequency with the pilots, and when we had like some kind of briefings before our flights or displays, they told me that, for example, right now is the low pass at the lowest possible speed, and this is something for me if the plane is too fast for normal, catching it. And yeah, and it's really good to me to hear the pilots, especially when they are flying in formations, because they talk to each other some important things, and then I know what they gonna do next. I mean, I know it already, but it's good to keep in touch anyways. Yeah, and often when planes fly in formation, they'll split, and then it's not really for me. I believe it's not really safe to me to fly behind one of the planes because I can't see the rest of them, and that's a thing for my spotter. I usually then went above, for example, technical road, which is like closed because it's really close to the public and planes can't go there, and I can't go above the crowd as well. And that's why I'm waiting for planes to form again, to be close to each other, and then I can chase them again.
What's the briefing like beforehand? So you know the rough agenda, when pilots are going to take off, when they're going to land. Do you plan the type of paths you're going to take? And obviously you've just got a battery. It's going to take you time to get to the ground and change batteries. So how do you kind of plan which part of the display you're going to film and where you need to be?
It all depends on what kind of display it is, because, for example, with the gliders, it starts really, really high, and there's often no point to me be there with them. And yeah, basically it's just letting me know what formation they are going to do, what heights it's gonna be, or what speeds, what attitude, and that's why I can like plan my flight, because
Mhm.
the worst thing is actually battery life. It's like 3 minutes when the display is like 10 minutes.
Right.
And we planned when I can change a battery, because I do it while display. And that's why I was sometimes flying shorter for a minute, for example, but there was time to change a battery because it wasn't something important to show, to
They're like
record.
between maneuvers.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was back to film something.
So you've
Yeah,
got
it's,
a kind of minute by minute breakdown of the display that you're going by.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had exact times when the display would start, and then I also brief with the pilots what is important and what they want me to shoot for them.
Yeah, Rich Goodwin, particularly, I remember sort of at the after party, was very impressed with how
Yeah.
closely you followed. Like, he'd obviously said, you like at this point in the display, you need to be here, ready for me to be in this position, and then you need to be here to be in this position. And he had obviously been very specific about where he wanted you to be, and you were exactly where he wanted you. Like, he was very impressed.
I think Rich was flying, maybe I am wrong, but I think Rich was flying with drone for the first time. And after our flights, he was every time impressed. And he was saying, yeah, I've seen you. You were close and you didn't hit me. And I mean, I was like, are you impressed that I didn't hit you?
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. That was my point, to don't hit you. Yeah. I really enjoyed flying with Rich.
Yeah, that is again a very, very fun display to watch, and that is another one again that's on Planes TV's YouTube channel. But the other thing was sort of being on the ground, because I was in this shipping container doing the vision mixing. On top of the containers, we had camera teams, and then in front of the containers, there's Antek and Alex with their drone launch and recovery sort of site. There's cordoned off, and on the air side, so it's well away from the crowds, but still. When Antek was clearly coming in and needed to change a battery very quickly, we heard about it. Sort of zooming along, very nice, like hard turn to stop, quick land and back off again. And I tell you, I don't know what frame or what quad you were flying. It was, I would say, intimidating.
Do you have a custom build for air shows? We hadn't talked about the kit so far, but I imagine you've got to make some choices when you're trying to follow full-size aircraft.
It was, to be honest, nothing special. 7-inch drone, 6S, of course, but for now I know it's not ideal for this type of things, because it was my first. Not enough power, of course. Yeah, it was.
So
my
you need a
first
jet
air show.
engine on yours as well, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, something like
So
this.
you're right at the top of the throttle a lot of the time then?
Yeah, that's why my battery, because I was, testing it with other planes or with slower things, and it was like, okay, 5-6 minutes on the battery, and then I went and I had to fly like 100% throttle all the time, and that's why my battery was like from 2 to 3 minutes.
Ooh,
Yeah. And it's not small battery, it's 4,000 milliamps, 6S.
Okay, yeah, it should
Yeah.
last.
Yeah,
Yeah, some people who do long range could like squeeze 15 minutes maybe out of that size.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Texas
now
burning through it in like a minute.
I learned a lot, and I know what to change right now.
For the next one, I'm looking forward to seeing more.
Yeah.
But yeah, because this wasn't your first time flying around manned aircraft at all, was it? So you've been traveling the world, following various things with people in the air, right?
Right. I've visited Qatar with Flying Dragons team. they also displayed at Antidotum Leszno, and yeah, it just happened. I don't know how, but I went to Qatar, to Doha, with them. They were performing, I believe, on something like Qatar Food Festival, based in Qatar downtown, and it was like almost a week straight of the displays.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's good practice, though, right? Like to
yeah.
just
Flying
one
in the
after
night
the other.
in city above the water. Yeah. Good practice.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be pretty confident in your equipment to do that,
Yeah.
and you'd definitely be confident in it afterwards, right? Like after a week of that, you've got to be pretty confident that everything's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of impressed by this when you said that the flying dragons. I think this is the footage here, right?
Yeah,
You've
it
got
is.
a whole bunch of I've forgotten what they're called, but the powered paragliders. Yeah. And you can see they're nice, safely driving in the safest possible location over a 4-lane motorway. That's actually required in the UK when you operate this kind of display. It has to be a motorway of at least 4 lanes.
Yeah, the Flying Dragons stuff is quite impressive. So they've got a load of LEDs lighting up their canopy, lighting up them. And
they're
this is
firing
just
fireworks out of both sides of the paraglider.
Yeah, there's
unfortunately none of
at
the
the same time.
unfortunately none of the fireworks worked on the Antidotum, and they had only LEDs and fireworks from the ground.
Yeah. But I mean, you didn't notice. In all honesty, if no one had told me, I wouldn't have noticed that there was anything missing. There was a lot of fireworks and a lot of LEDs.
It was, but it could be like 2 times more anyway.
Yeah, but I to be honest, I would be, if I was one of them and the fireworks hadn't gone off and like I'm coming into land and I've got a load of fireworks strapped onto me that should have gone off but haven't, that would be terrifying.
Yeah, I know it is terrifying even for them.
Yeah, the Qatar stuff looks pretty awesome. There's some other videos you've got chasing a paraglider through the desert, and he's got kind of typical Arab dress and the head dress and the advertising and visit Qatar, and you're just like zooming around this, having a great time by the looks of
it. Yeah. So this was sort of your was this your entry into flying around manned aircraft then?
Like not really. I done couple like tournaments also with paragliders at Leszno Airport. And meanwhile, everything I was just training with planes, flying in Leszno, and getting used to it. But it was, you can't really train with something like Blanik Steam or Richard with jet bits. It's more like Cessna flying around, but it's still something.
Yeah, just a 182 doing a circuit and coming into land.
Yeah.
That's a slightly different problem from a pit special with a couple of jet engines strapped to it hovering in front of you.
Going vertical and
yeah.
Yeah, I see you've got kind of a huge variety of stuff. You've got some what looks like racing footage in the Instagram feed, but also some work on music videos, tourist advertising shots, air shows. I mean, what kind of kit are you flying? Because it looks like you're flying every different type of FPV.
And that's my main problem, that I want to do everything, and I don't have time, and more of the time I don't have money for everything. Because now I can earn something from recording stuff, but most of this I'm putting back in my drones or things like this. And normally I'm working in restaurant to afford everything.
Wow. You must have to work hard. It looks like you've got some fantastic footage. I mean, I think you've got a bright career ahead of you. It just I'm just amazed at the different types of quad that you're flying, because a lot of people just stick to a 5-inch because it's what they know. But you said you're doing 7-inch for the air show, and absolutely makes sense. I could see you going to like 10-inch or more, even just to get the flight time and the speed. And then you've got whoop racing there as well, and then you've got some cine whoop stuff. You're doing some music videos by the looks of it. I think what was this is the name caught my eye. What was it like? The Cali Ganja Mafia.
Yeah.
Looks like some quite nicely presented stuff where you're doing slow-mo shots through really beautifully lit pine woods, and you've clearly got some skills of doing like really slow shots as well. It's not all just about speed, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's just the precision.
But in terms of speed and precision, at Lejno, we were talking about that you do racing as well, right? Not just filming.
Yeah, I do racing.
So,
which is another thing that there is never enough money to spend on it. Even when you think you have everything ready, there is something burnt and not ready to fly.
So what we're saying is, if anyone wants to sponsor your racing, you're available, right?
Yeah. I mean, GameFun is helping me with the propellers, and recently I got like in contact with Dayton Mamba, and they sent me some electronics, so that's cool. It's always something less that I have to buy and think about. Yeah, but it's, as I said, it's really hard to do everything, and that's why I try to do everything, but it's just impossible. You can race, but you have to practice to be fast, and always fix your drones. And then you have like cinematic stuff, and you want to keep up with everything, every new things, and have time to learn how to edit your videos. And yeah, it's a lot of things.
Seems like racing is often a springboard where people are doing racing when they're like 15, 18, maybe up to 20, perhaps like 23, 24, and then they move into film production, cinematography.
Yeah, there's a lot of pilots like I don't know, Kapitan Vanover, Alex Vanover. Yeah, he's still racing, I guess, but he's in some kind of company, filming company.
Yeah,
just
there's
working.
him, Steele, Tommy. I mean, these are all guys like Tommy was out filming National Geographic shots, right, on boats and stuff. So yeah, it seems like it gives you that springboard when you do the racing. You're in front of a camera, people get to know your name, and then doors open, right? So I guess you're seeing this already. You've got a pretty good portfolio for someone who's starting out. This is impressive.
Yeah, and like that's a particularly kind of unique selling point for you, right? Is like having done Lejno and this other work flying around other manned aircraft. Like, there's not a lot of people in the world really that have that experience that you now have. So that is, something that really sets you apart, I would say. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see where you take it. I hope lots of places.
Thank you. I hope so.
Because for a bit of context for everyone, you've just finished high school, right? Like,
yeah,
literally,
I finished high school. 19 right now.
So you've got like the whole world ahead of you of like where you might find a career and what you might do with it, and whether you want to do more education or whether you want to like go into sort of full-time doing something like this or whatever. Like you've got all those decisions to make, right?
Yeah, it's changing all the time, my plans and what I want to do. Yeah, I also wanted to say that FPV changed a lot since I started. I started like 5 years ago, maybe, and I see like the change with the electronics and everything. but Jack showed us today some weird ass controller. I don't know what is it. Like
that,
when
that
I
was
started,
weird 5 years ago. I mean, that's
Yeah.
going back to the dawn of time, I think.
Yeah,
This is
I have in my
a very long time ago.
Well, it's from more like 8 years ago, I guess, instead of 5 years.
9.
9 years.
Yeah, I was going to say
15.
that is some old stuff.
I have
F1.
some really old FC that I got from my friend, and it was before, I don't know before what, but it has like a small screen on it, and you set everything with the
Okay,
buttons
burn
on it.
Burn it.
Yeah, it's something there.
Jack loves this stuff. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the
But it's
KK2
also
is something
like 12 years old.
that is something that Jack would be all over. That is
Yeah.
Jack's favorite type of
It's like you use the
FPV equipment.
screwdriver to tune the PIDs, and no filters, nothing.
So
Even now,
do you remember?
the pit tuning drone is hard for me, so I can imagine doing it back then.
Go ahead, Frank.
Do you remember, Antek, what the first thing was that you flew FPV?
No, actually, I started with 5-inch. I mean, I met a guy in Leszno Airport, actually, because there is
Mhm.
also like section for the guys with the RC planes.
Okay.
And they had some kind of meetings, and like 5 years ago, there was can't remember his name actually because he's no longer flying. Oh, his name was Kamil, and he's no longer flying, but he taught me everything basically and built my first drone for me, and I was like 14 back then, and I learned it, how to do it and everything, but he told me to buy a simulator, and I was practicing on Velocidrone, and actually this is like a completely different drone right now, but that's the frame, my first frame.
Are you
Your
showing
camera
us
doesn't
something?
work.
Your camera's not on, by the way. I don't know if you've
It
had a
froze.
thumbnail
It
up the whole time.
might have frozen. It might just be struggling with internet. So
I
Yeah,
thought
we
I'm
don't
Turn your
see it.
using
camera
all
off
the
and
time.
back on again.
Okay, how about now?
We just see a
No.
freeze frame of you sitting there
Yeah.
with the stuff on the wall.
Oh.
I thought you were trying to show us a thumbnail before. Sorry, should have mentioned this earlier. Oh no.
No, that's not good.
Oh well.
Okay,
Do you know what the name of the frame is?
I think it's Gap RC Airbus or something like that.
Ah,
Really
Stephen's
chunky,
googling away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
really chunky frame, which was good for me. I remember
Yeah, the Airbus is a frame.
Yeah, and it was my friend built it with Emax, the old Emax motors, RS 2205, I believe. Yeah, and he built something that is really hard to broke for me, which was a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good starter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Was
the
that,
GEPRC AX5 is definitely an older design of frame.
Yeah, that's the frame.
Cute.
Not seen stuff like this in a while. It's
That
interesting.
has
design.
a session, a GoPro session strapped to the top of it, which sort of dates it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but the GoPro session was something I dreamed back then, but I never bought any of these.
It's got this
I was
custom
flying
aluminium
without
piece
any
in the frame. It's interesting.
And I didn't break this frame till today.
Oh, sad.
Yeah. I remember that people said it would be like impossible to fly with GoPro Hero 7 or 8 on your 5-inch, and now it's like basic stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's still heavy, but you can do it.
Yeah,
And
it
you've got
is
people
heavy.
flying 8S now. So, what do you
Yeah.
think is the biggest change? You've been flying for 5 years. You fly professionally. You've done a lot of racing. You get through a lot of drones. So, what do you think has changed the most since you started flying?
I think racing changed a lot because there always were fast pilots. I mean, MCK is fast every time, but now there's much more fast pilots, and the builds are just focused to be as light as possible. They don't care that they, touch something and it's broke.
Yeah,
Just
because that happens anyway, right?
yeah, and I mean, you still can see my camera, right?
No.
Yeah, we've got like one frame of you.
Okay.
If you look on YouTube, you can probably see what's going on.
Okay. I don't want to go to
You got a
YouTube because
separate
it's gonna
webcam.
be.
Unplug it and plug it back in.
Yeah,
Okay,
or like
maybe.
if you click the settings icon and change to another camera and then change back, if you've got two cameras, that sometimes.
Oh,
like,
okay. I know
Or
what happened.
refresh the page. And then we'll re-add you.
It should.
Yeah,
There
while
we
you're
go.
moving,
Yeah.
we got you. Hello,
Okay.
Antoni.
Hello. So here is
Ah,
the frame.
Nice.
It's still
It's much
working,
more
but
colourful.
on different.
A
And
lot of
actually, my
CPU.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's made for a bundle flying or stuff like this. And my first drone was on actually Kiss, not Betaflight, because my friend told me,
His first drone.
look,
that he learned.
right now it's still Kiss, it's FedEx stack, which didn't
That's not
burn
Kiss.
actually.
Our FedEx Kiss, it's all the same, Jack. It's all the same.
Yeah,
Just
and
marketing.
I wanted to show you racing drone,
Oh, we lost Jack now. He's raging.
which is super light. It's 5-inch drone, and it's like
That looks very lightweight.
40 grams without battery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And I even thought of mounting GoPro to one of these because they are so fast to film planes, but I haven't done it.
Well, you've got to worry about vibration because they're kind of light and not designed for great footage.
Yeah.
So you've got to tune it not to be a racing drone anymore, but to be an HD camera drone. So a bit of retuning is required. Yeah.
I see you've got some flying wings on the wall behind you as well. Do they see much use?
Yeah, sometimes actually I can go to grab a battery because one have really cool LEDs.
Yeah, go for it.
I will do it.
Jack has returned. He's stopped raging.
Antek is not Kiss.
It's all the same, Jack.
Wow, that is bright.
Oh, the battery is dead. But you've seen it, right?
Yeah. That's some bright LEDs. It looks very neat as well. It's kind of like a running light, like a headlight. It looks very tidy. Have you done any filming with any of your wings? Like, are they useful for any filming at all, or is that all
I have
quads?
I have never put HD camera on them. Actually, I just want to in this wing. I just showed you. I wanted to go as fast as I can, and that's why I burned ESC once on it. But it went over 200 kilometers, like 230. Yeah, because it was 6S on 2,500 kV motor. That's why it went so fast.
Holy shit.
That must have been difficult to control, I'm guessing.
5-inch prop.
Kind of shaking just a tiny bit, maybe?
Tiny bit, yeah. It was 6-inch prop B blade.
Wow.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
launching that would be a challenge.
Yeah,
Did it just?
but I don't have. I mean, it is on iNav just to have OSD and everything, and
Mhm.
GPS working. But I think the best fun is when you throw your wing and you don't have any like auto land or stuff like this, because it's boring.
iNav, is that the same as Betaflight? They're all the same.
Yeah, they're all the
apparently.
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, salty.
So
Well, at
it's
least you can
correct.
look at the code for iNav and say it's different. We can't look at the code
Oh,
for FedTech
no.
and say it's any different to KISS. As far as we know, they've just stuck a new logo on the top.
Yeah, why bother using ERS? Free Sky was fine. You don't need to look at the
Well,
code.
apart from when it dropped like 50 meters onto a concrete skate park, I was not happy about that. And that I was like, oh no, I'm flying. I'm like in front of myself. It's all good. I flew behind myself and fail-safed. And I'm like, the drone was basically above me and it just fail-safed the instant like my body was between the radio and FR Sky. So that wasn't good.
Speaking of radio stuff, what about in terms of because like for the air show stuff, you're flying 03, DJI 03. What do you fly for your racing and for your wings?
I really like analog actually, but now
Nice.
but now HD0 is getting more and more popular, which is good for racing, but it's kind of expensive to have another pair of goggles for me.
Yeah.
So I'm racing on Express LRS 2.4 gigahertz and on analog, and everything all of my drones which are not for filming are on analog, because I really can feel the latency on the DJI. It's not you receive HD image, but you feel the latency. But when I'm filming, I'm flying on Crossfire, because I think it's more I forgot the word, but it's
like
just
robust,
more safe than Express RRS, I believe.
Reliable.
I just reliable and trusty. Yeah, thank you.
You don't have to worry about updating it so often.
Yeah. I can't remember when I do anything with it last time.
Awesome. So for people that want to follow what you're up to, we've got a link in the description to your link tree. But if you want to let people know where to find you, I guess on Instagram's probably best. Is that going to be where they go?
I post everything that I want to be visible for people on Instagram. I used to have I even launched my website, but it was like there is no point in. I think Instagram is can do it do it all, and it's easier to find for people.
We really just have a website to point people to our YouTube channel and everything else, just in case you put it into Google and YouTube fails to surface the result.
Yeah.
So you're at @_movie on Instagram, right?
Right.
For anyone that wants to see some of the clips we've been talking about tonight and keep a track of where you end up going. We hope
Planes TV
more air shows.
For some of the air show stuff as well. Yeah,
if you want to watch the entire 3 days, including rehearsals, of Lejno air show stuff, you can go to watch.planestv.com and pay some money. Or you can see some clips on YouTube at Planes TV. So there you go. There's a plug. I don't think I've plugged Planes TV on here before. I'm slightly nervous.
Now people know where you've been moonlighting. Now you're going to have the LDO comments appearing. You should be worried.
Exactly. I'm very nervous. Don't need that. I don't see the live chat usually, so
Never read
Yeah.
the comments.
no.
Never read the comments, Frank. It's the only way to live.
Yeah. We should also mention, as we're coming up to the end of the show, next week we have, if I remember correctly, we have Mako coming back on and talking about all the many exciting things she's been doing with the racing and supporting lots of new pilots and in getting involved in things all around the world. So again, a jet setter doing exciting things next week on LDO. So we're getting all the best guests. It's going to be a hat trick of good episodes. Please sign up to our Patreon and keep this going.
Absolutely. We're getting some more guests in. It's going to be good, guys. See you in future shows. And thank you very much, Anthony, for being an awesome guest this time and filming
No
such
problem.
spectacular footage.
It was good time talking with you and share my thoughts about what I did. Thank you for invitation today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the best. And thanks to our Patreons who are scrolling across the bottom of the screen. We won't read them all out this time round, but you are all very much appreciated for keeping the show on the road. Like and subscribe, as Dom just pointed out we should do. And to answer Dominic's previous comment, TBS Crossfire and IRC Ghost are still a thing in 2024.
Yeah, I think they are. A lot
You
of
can't
people
even
are
buy
guys.
any ghost stuff, can you?
It's getting
I
harder.
I think Ghost Link was already dead when it came out. Not
Yeah.
Some people use it for racing, but like for a month, I believe, and then they went back to like Tracer or stuff like this.
Yeah, unfortunately, the price was never going to compete with Express LRS when you've got hardware being made by like 20 different companies in China. I think where Ghost's probably going to come into its own is when IRC sort of joins up with the companies they've allied with recently, who I'm completely blanking on, but they made FPV goggles in Croatia. Orca, yeah.
Orca.
So they're like partnered with Orca. So I think we might see some IRC joint projects potentially using Ghost and it being a kind of all-in-one integrated package at some point. It looks like that if they don't go bust, that might be a thing that happens. It's a big if.
Do I remember correctly that Orca have a digital system sort of in the works? Is that correct?
Like 2 years ago, they said they would launch something, and no one heard about it, I think.
Yeah, so maybe they're gonna come out of left field, and all of a sudden there's gonna be this all-in-one system to compete with everything else. I will not hold my breath. Well,
Jack, I reckon they've got them in stock and newbie drone.
Yeah, I think there are still like bind and fly whoops with Ghost. But yeah, like
what, in a bin somewhere?
I thought you were a big Ghost supporter,
in Poland. I have a friend in Poland which is also racing, and when Ghosts, everyone was so hyped about the Ghost. He bought it, and it was like 2 or 3 years ago, and from this time he want to sell it, and no one wants it.
No, that's a tough sell, that is.
I like it because it lets me do what I want to do with Channel 5.
Oh dear.
And the 2 antennas means I can do this.
For the listeners at home, Jack has proceeded to put the antennas from his Ghost transmitter up his nostrils.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you want if you've got that hay fever problem and you need to sneeze, then Ghost is really the answer. Although Gemini's come along recently, so if you've got sneezing problems, you can now do this on Express LRS.
Oh, And if you
But
want,
caution, you may damage your ears if you sneeze while having antennas up your nose. It's a warning.
yes.
I also saw, as a typical drone-related item, I saw a guy who sneezed so hard he actually shot his bowels out of his body. That was in an article that someone sent me. I thought you'd be interested to know about.
Well,
That's another thing to add to my fears. Thank you. You've been listening to Let's Drone Out. You've been joined by Andrew / Frank,
bye.
Belric,
Thank you and good evening. Good night.
and Tony.
Thank you.
Brian to Fly. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, mate.